Hi, everybody. My name is Bridget Burkhardt, and I'm a portfolio manager for Cup Filling Solutions at R.A. Jones.
And I'm Steve Butterfield. I'm a strategic account manager for R.A. Jones. First of all, can you guys hear us? Okay. Can we give a little bit more here? Thanks, guys. Okay, I can get rid of the mic and I can just do it, now. Okay. So, like I said, I'm Steve Butterfield, strategic account manager for R.A. Jones.
Yeah, so there's been a long-standing debate about which packaging format is right for manufacturers and their products. And because we at R.A. Jones have a lot of experience with both cup and pouch, we want to make sure that we can give manufacturers some insights on what technology is best to invest in. Got it?
He gave me one.
Okay.
So, like she said, we do both pouches and cups within R.A. Jones. In the cup side, we have AutoProd and Halmatic, and on the pouch side, we have the Pouch King and also Volpac through Volpac America. So a lot of times people come to us and they say, I got this opportunity, I want to decide which way should I go. Should it be a cup or should it be a pouch? And because we play on both sides of the fence, we try not to be partial, but there is some partiality. What we try to do is educate them to what the advantages and disadvantages of both are and let them make the right decision.
Yeah, and that's where we put on our boxing gloves. We have a lot of fun at that point in time, don't we, Steve?
Yeah, because we're really passionate about our product lines, it gets kind of heated sometimes. I've really enjoyed putting this presentation together with Bridget because I've learned a lot of things that I didn't know and might have changed my opinion a little bit, but not really.
Yeah, so first we thought we better give the audience a good definition of what exactly is a cup and what's a pouch. So cups come in just about all shapes and sizes. They're typically plastic containers. You can see them round, rectangle, scround, straight wall, nestable. You can be single compartment or multi-compartment. So ever since the invention of plastics, we've seen cups really evolving, and I think we'll continue to do so.
Yeah, and because, with the plastics and the multi-wall or multi-layer materials, it's given the flexible industry the same type of advantages so they can compete with the rigid industry. So you'll see on the pouch side of the business, you'll see stand-up pouches or the old doy bag. You'll see sachets, 3-4 side seals, bottom gusseted, non-gusseted, brick pad pouches, and then we get into some of the newer generations with the spouts and attachments. You can do top cap, corner cap. You can do a straw that is internal to the package and hermetically sealed in an environment that is already sterile. So that gives us some advantages that we can come up with new ideas.
Yes, and here's some examples that you see for both cup and pouch. And while we can walk manufacturers through what is best for their product type, there's a lot of room that, there's a lot of depends that goes on in the play there. But we feel that it's good for manufacturers to actually have both formats around, and we'll get into that in a little bit more in detail.
So the real question is, why do manufacturers change from cup to spout or cup to pouch or pouch to cup? What are the market influencers that are driving those decisions? And they're really varied, and we're going to try to dig down into some of those different categories while we're talking today.
Yep, so we'll go through some of these, and let's get started.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is consumer preference, and the main item here is you really need to know the demographics of the people that you're selling to. You got to realize that you already have a base of people that you're selling to, and you don't want to alienate them, but you also don't want to just become myopic and look at one generational group and talk to them. You want to look at the broad spectrum, and as things are changing, it's forcing us to be more innovative in our design thinking.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe, but experiences really do play a role in the generational preferences that we see out there. I mean, I might be showing my age a little bit, but I remember when the first desktop computer arrived at my grade school and when I received my first email address.
Yeah, your grade school. I was in college when we got our first desktop, so it's a little different there. But one of the things that's interesting is my kid's smartphone has more computing capability than my computer did when I was in college. So that's really something. And they've never grown up without anything but a smartphone and had instant accessibility.
Yeah, so generational preferences definitely come into play. And I think two product categories that are really great to look at here are the applesauce and the yogurt categories. So you can definitely tell that the pouches are more positioned toward the younger generations. And, you know, baby boomers, they grew up eating from cups. And I'm a Gen Xer, and I feel a little silly drinking out of pouches. So, Steve, can I chalk one up for a cup on this one?
No. You can't go there, because one of the things you're forgetting is the millennial group is about 4 million people bigger than the baby boomers. And as the baby boomers start to decrease, they're getting bigger. And the Gen X and the Gen Zs are just right behind them as far as size. So you really need to look at a broad spectrum of all the different attributes. I do understand, though, you know, that you're used to eating out of a cup, and so am I. But if we're going to really grow in the industry, we've got to look at everything.
All right, so let's take a look at a summary on where we stand for consumer preferences. So cup is definitely a format that is a better fit for the older demographics.
Yeah, but on consumer preference, some of the things that hit high on our list was to have the ability to reclose the container, and the cup doesn't give them that. I do give in that there's a little bit of a push, you know, when you're talking about sucking on a pouch. But I can also see where some of the geriatric age people, that's going to actually come into play, because it is easier to open. They don't have to worry about the spoon feeding, and they can squeeze the pouch to be able to eat. So that might actually shift as we go forward.
Yeah, I think we might have to call it a draw on this first one, though, Steve.
All right, I'll get that.
Okay, so now we'll talk about convenience. So I know I can use convenience in my life, and any way that packaging can help my life become more convenient, I'm all for that.
Yep, and both formats kind of position themselves very well for convenience. The easy grab on the go snack, throw it in a lunchbox, throw it in a picnic basket, be able to run and go. You know, one of the things that we found in doing this research is that 90% of adults in North America, at least, they snack at least one time a day. And when you're like me, I snack more like 70% of Americans, and that's 3 or 4 times a day. So, you know, the snacking sizes, you know, the smaller portion sizes are really coming into play right now, not at the larger size, but more of the convenience.
Yeah, and household sizes are shrinking, so where a family of 8 may not have had trouble going through an entire tub of hummus in the past, now you're starting to see a family 2 or 3 opt more for the single serving sizes, and that's just making it easy for a longer lifespan in the fridge. And pouch might have a little bit of advantage here, Steve, I have to admit a little bit, because that oxygen just isn't reaching the product as fast as it would. That is, unless we're going to throw a party, and that way you need that big tub of hummus still.
Yeah, but I mean, you can also talk about that party where you have that sour cream. And Daisy was able to overcome that when you have a big tub of sour cream that's got guacamole dipped in there and salsa dipped in there.
Ew.
And cheese. Yeah, you don't want that. So I think that there's still some play here that can go either way. I said, but you know, we'll take a look at it. Keep going.
Yeah, so we've got an entire slide dedicated to convenience with children in this, because I think a lot of you in the audience can relate. So I'll admit that eating from a cup for children is a little bit messier than we would all like, but it teaches them good hand-eye coordination, and they need to learn how to eat like adults sometime sooner or later.
No, that's true. And I guess the only combat I can come back to you is, if you take a look at this picture, which one of these kids would you rather have snacking in the back of your car?
That's true, and I recently removed the car seats from the back of my car, and I don't even know what I found underneath of them, so it was a biohazard, and I might have to give this one to you on that one, Steve.
Okay, so moving on, let's take a head-to-head look at the convenience sector and where do we see it going. Both are easy for the grab-and-go snack, the tag-along, small serving sizes.
Yeah, and the viscous products in a cup, it might be a little bit more messy to eat, where, you know, the pouch, as a mom of 6-year-old twins, I've been known to buy a pouch or 2 in the past. So
did I just hear you coming to the dark side?
Not quite
Yeah.
yet, Steve. But this one, I think you've won for convenience. So
all right, so I'll take this
move on.
one. So I appreciate that.
All right, branding.
So branding and point of sale statistics. 70% of the purchases are actually made when you're standing in front of the item. And one of the most compelling reasons that I can see for the pouch is the large billboard space that it provides the manufacturer to offer a lot of variable information items that they can see right away.
Yes, but cup manufacturers combat that by multi-packing in sleeves, and that provides a really good space for your brand as well as some nice graphics. Plus, it's easier to stack on the store shelves.
Yeah, but if you take a look at some of the pouches, a lot of them have some clear panels on there so you can actually see the product, and customers really like to see what they're buying. So that's a really good, strong advantage for the cup, or for the pouch.
Yeah, and I'll give that one to you, Steve. But if if the pouches are laying down on the store shelves, you kind of lose that argument.
Oh.
So if you can see here in this picture, all of those pouches, I can't really tell what that is.
Oh, yeah. You had to find a picture that stressed your point. I get it. Good job. But this actually kind of shows all the different formats. You have cups and multi-wall pouches. You have single-serve pouches that are put into bins. And yes, you lose the billboard space there. I give you that. But we also go back into multi-packs as well on the pouch side.
Yep, so let's take a look at branding. So cups, they're stackable and they're wrappable, and we really like how they appear on the store shelves.
Yeah, and pouches give you the ability to put a very big billboard space on there, but to your point, if they're not displayed correctly, you kind of lose that.
So I think we got a tie again on this one, another draw. Okay, so sustainability. So from a macro level, Mother Earth has made huge advances in this category lately. And we're starting to see a lot more eco-friendly materials being available on the market. And the United Nations recently published their Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. So while these 17 guidelines vary widely from anything from a more peaceful planet to eliminating poverty, where it affects us as packaging professionals is goal number 12, which is ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns.
So this 2025 pledge is stating that everything is going to be either 100% recyclable, reusable, or compostable. And I don't know if it scares you, but being a machinery manufacturer scares the hell out of me. We're 6 years away from that being implemented, and I don't see it happening. Because right now it's a pledge that's being put out there by people, but it's going to keep getting pushed back. Material suppliers have to change what they're doing. Machine suppliers are going to have to change how those materials react. So I think we're a long ways from being there. And with all those pressures, things are getting condensed down. You're going to see a lot of influx and a lot of turmoil to try to hit these initiatives in a very short period of time. And to make matters even worse, there's a lot of large multinationals that are saying, well, we're going to do it by 2020. Well, 2020 is a year and a half, and it won't happen. I'm telling you that right now. But it is going to happen, and it's the right thing to happen. We have to keep that going. So. Yeah,
either way you look at it, it's a very aggressive deadlines that we need to hit. And keep in mind, though, that there are no real penalties if manufacturers don't hit these deadlines. And there's still a lot of interpretation about what exactly reusable, recyclable, and compostable means. So first, let's take a look at recyclability. So both from cup and pouch, these will need to be a mono layer and a mono material for it to be recyclable. And cups have a little bit of an advantage here, Steve, because it is a mono layer, mono material. They're a little bit easier to recycle. And the barrier properties, just because of its rigidity, it's good at keeping the moisture in and the oxygen out.
Yeah, and I spent the last 20 years of my life dealing with modified atmosphere, and I can tell you that the flexibles do need the barrier properties. You can't do it in a monolayer material. So that itself is going to change some of the demographics of what's going on and how we're going to approach the markets and what materials can we use. So looking at this, currently right now you have a foil lamination or you'll have an EVOH layer in there to give yourself the properties. But then that also kicks it out from the waste stream. You can't actually put that into your recycling system because it's a multi-layer structure. So that's one of the negatives going on there.
Yeah, and even though something is recyclable, so consumers still need to take that extra step to actually recycle it. So I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit this, but even though I had been participating in my curbside recycling program for quite some time, I wasn't rinsing the insides of the organic matter that was left in my cup, and I learned that the recycling facilities quickly deemed that as unrecyclable material, and that was going straight to a landfill anyway. So we can't be lazy as consumers, and even though something's recyclable doesn't mean it's really going to be recycled.
Yeah, and I came into this thinking that the pouches had this thing won because we have source reduction going into the landfills, but that really doesn't even hit on any of the pledge ideas. Source reduction is no longer one of the marketing strategies that we have to look at. We have to look at total new alternatives.
Yep. So now let's take a look at compostability.
So, okay. Compostability is one of the things that we looked at, and it too is a never-ending or changing category because the definition is not really defined, and that's one of the things we need to push.
Yes, and I'm told that if you shred both cups and pouches that are compostable, that you can add these to your backyard refuse pile. But I'm not sure that the neighbor that shares a property line with me is going to want me to shred my garbage and add it to the same pile of clippings that I do my grass. So I don't know how well that would go over in my neighborhood.
Yeah, and some of the things, from a machinery manufacturing standpoint, we're being forced to predict or look forward into the future and see what types of things do we have to do to the machines right now to make them to be able to handle recyclable materials. So you're going to see materials that have more elongation, more elasticity. So it forced us to relook at ourselves on the Volpack side and come up with a continuous unwind. And we have a seal to print capability where our seal heads actually move with the material. So as you have that elongation, you're always sealing on the eye mark. That we're monitoring time, temperature, and pressure because what was being used today to do things is not going to be going forward, and we really need to understand all the parameters that make a good package.
Yeah, so while compostability is nice in theory, it's not really practical unless you have those large municipal curbside pickups going on in your area of the country. And we're starting to see those become more prevalent, but I don't think we're quite there yet.
No, don't get us wrong. I think we're moving in the right direction, but there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot of unknowns, and there's a lot of boxes to be checked. And right now, for us to sit up here and try to tell you we knew the answers, we don't, but we're all looking and we're all pulling on the same side of the rope, trying to come up with those solutions.
So let's take a look at a summary on sustainability. So yes, the majority of the packaging for both cup and pouch, that's easily recyclable or compostable.
Yeah, but the pouch uses less product that goes into the landfill. But again, that used to be one of the criteria that we wanted to check boxes on. It no longer is.
Yeah, and the big if remains is if consumers will actually take the extra steps to make something recyclable or compostable as well.
So again, we're going to call this one a draw?
I guess so.
So you're kicking my butt.
All right, e-commerce. So this is one of my favorite topics. So how many of you have actually stepped foot into a department store to buy something lately? Say in the last month. Okay. One guy, two, couple, okay.
How many order online?
Yeah.
Large force.
So taking a look at the stats when it comes to groceries. So today, only 5% of us in the United States buy our groceries online, but that's expected to grow to a whopping 20% by the year 2020. So think about all of the changes that's going to occur to your neighborhood groceries in just a short amount of time. We're talking 2 years.
Yep, and in Asia, they're a little bit more advanced than us, and part of that is because of the format. We load up our cars with 3 years worth of toilet paper and we go home. They don't have that luxury there. They have to carry what they buy home. So the added value of having something shipped to your home, pre-portioned sizes, pre-measured, is a great advantage. And they're embracing it right now, and that's what's happening. So throughout all of Asia, some countries more than others, but it averages out to about 37% of people actually order online and have stuff shipped to their home already today.
Yep, in Europe, the stats are all over the map, depending on what country you're in, but it's growing nonetheless. So we're seeing large growth in the e-commerce space for groceries. But one thing we want to keep in mind is how we're actually buying our groceries online in the United States. This is more of a click and collect format where we're ordering our groceries online, but we're going to the parking lot or we're going to the store to pick up our items. So I think because of that, we're seeing changes in packaging as a result of e-commerce really lagging. And I think that when 1 hour delivery directly to your home becomes more prevalent, that's when we're really going to see some huge strides with effects on packaging taking place due to e-commerce.
Yeah, but that's also going to put some pressure back on, companies that are manufacturing products, machinery manufacturers, film manufacturers, because when you have that 18-year-old kid walking down the Walmart aisle doing your personal shopping for you so you can drive up and pick it up, they really don't care if there's a gallon of milk right next to your Cheerios. They'll put it on top of that. And unless you like Cheerio-dusted milk, things are have to change. So it's going to force us to kind of go out, reevaluate where we are, where we want to go, and it's going to force us all to change our designs. And we have a professor here in our audience that his kids are the next budding generation that are going to be the ones to design all this, and we got to really embrace that.
Yeah, you're going to see things like dimensional weight shipping really come into play and really start to affect packaging. You might see brands begin to offer starter kits for projects where you might see that rigid cup becoming the reusable container that's reused over and over again, and things might be shipped to your home in a pouch in a concentrated formula that might need water or something added to it once you get it into that cup. So we're going to see things that might have temperature thermometers on the side to make sure that the integrity of the product is maintained during shipment and things like that. So as we begin to see things more shipped directly to the home, we're really going to start to see e-commerce affecting packaging, but it's a pretty big wild card right now. So the cup, just due to its protective qualities, as Steve was talking about, that 18-year-old picker who's going up and down the aisles and doesn't really care what he's throwing in together in a box, cup might have a little bit of advantage here, Steve.
Yeah, I can kind of give you that. I mean, I think right now, today, you have the advantage over where we're at. But I don't think we fully felt the impact of what e-commerce means to us. It is so new and is so ever-changing that things are going to change, designs are going to change, and if we come back here 2 years from now and put on the gloves again, I might be winning this one.
We'll see about that, Steve. But yeah, I think that we've got a lot of evolution that's going to continue to go on in the e-commerce space.
All right, so let's start to wrap this up. So the final scorecard, consumer preference, I think there's some great advantages to both of the package styles for consumer preference. We touched on what they were for convenience.
Yes, and for convenience, I will give this to you, Steve. I don't let my kids eating a messy cup in the backseat of my car, so I'll concede that pouches are the way to go on that one.
And then on branding, I thought I had this one nailed until she came up and said, yeah, but at my store, this is how they display the pouches, and they're all laying down. It's like, okay, so I lost my billboard argument there. Yeah. So we'll call that one a draw.
Yeah, and from a sustainability standpoint, I think we're both losers. So, I mean, packaging is waste, and we've got to find a better way to do it. There's a lot more education that needs to take place, and until we get to that point where everybody's on board to protect Mother Earth, I don't know if we'll get there.
Yep, so that's going to be a key thing. And then on the e-commerce thing, like I said, today, I give it to you. We'll see how it develops, though.
Yeah, customers expect that product to arrive at the door exactly how it appears on store shelves. So just due to the protective quality, cup might have a little bit of an advantage there.
So who's the winner? You ready to call it a draw?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the things I touched on a little while ago was the daisy advent of the stamp cap pouch. And the stamp cap pouch is one of those things that we can address and talk about kind of all of these things.
Yeah, so we didn't see any product cannibalization when that pouch was introduced. So they had room for both the tub of sour cream and the stand-up pouch as well.
Yeah, and they had 69% incremental growth on the brands, which blew me away.
Yeah, and an 18% overall category increase. So it didn't only affect the Daisy brand, it affected the entire marketplace.
No, and when you can show numbers like that, you can't argue with the success of it.
You cannot argue with profitability.
Right. So they added both to the same stream and had a win-win situation there.
That's right. So that's all we have to present today. We thank you all for being a good audience.